And at the same time, without U.S. support, Zelensky's finished. There's nobody can help him. He's done. So I thought, I just can't be right. Something missing in this picture. So there's this Czech news outlet, AE News, which gets very good scoops, and they published an article saying that according to leaks from Ukraine's intelligence, the reason why Zelensky couldn't do a deal with Trump is because he had already signed over those resources to the Brits. So what happened is that back in September, yeah, I mean, this is huge. This is not in the mainstream media, but it looks very plausible as a story. And I'll explain why I think that. So when Zelensky went over to the United States last September and spoke with Trump and offered this deal, the Brits decided to preempt Trump. And so what they did is they drafted this 100-year partnership agreement between the Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and Ukraine. And Keir Starmer went to Kiev on the 16th of January this year, which is 4 days before Donald Trump's inauguration. And he and Zelensky signed this 100-year partnership agreement between the UK and Ukraine. And according to this, so this is not controversial. This is not conspiracy. This is all on the record. The deal, the agreement is on the British government website. You can download it in PDF and read it. No problem there. But the intelligence leak says that there's a secret appendix to the deal, which basically says that upon the cessation of hostility, basically all of the Ukraine's resources go to the UK. The UK takes control of them, namely all of Ukraine's ports, natural gas resources, storage facilities and pipelines, titanium, and on and on and on. So in exchange, well, the British committed to support Ukraine with no less than £3 billion per year for as long as necessary. That's one of the provisions of the of an addendum to the agreement. But the Brits don't do charity. This is not a charitable donation. This is a consideration for something that is not named in the agreement. However, when you read the agreement, the 100-year partnership, it's not the whole agreement. Normally agreements have the whole agreement clause stating that all of the rights and obligations under this agreement by the respective parties are limited to what's spelled out in this agreement. There's nothing outside of the scope of this agreement that parties shall be liable for. This is like standard boilerplate that goes into almost all the contract. Instead, in this agreement, on Article 11 refers to additional provisions and things which may be necessary in pursuit of this agreement. So it means that there's like some kind of an open-ended provision that is not named in the agreement, but which could be part of this agreement. So that kind of indicates that there might be secret appendices. And then it also, so if this is true, 100% the Russians know about this. If the Russians know about this, 100% the Trump administration knows about this. And if the Trump administration knows about this, then this whole deal, song and dance between the Europeans and the Americans, is a sideshow. The real show is that the Trump administration is now, they turned the proxy war around. And so instead of the Western Empire, the Brits and NATO and Europe using Ukraine as a proxy in their war against Russia, now the Trump is using Ukraine as a proxy in his war against the Brits and the Europeans. And so, mass, that's insane, isn't it? So here's why I think this is happening. So Trump has been pressing Zelensky over these minerals, over these resources. I think probably knowing that he signed them over to the Brits. So he's just like putting them all on the spot. And then, he threw in that Zelensky is a dictator and that he has 4% support in his country. So what did that do? Because Zelensky signed this 100-year agreement. Well, if he's not the legitimate representative of Ukraine, if he's not the president, then his signature on this 100-year deal is worthless, and so the whole thing is null and void. And so then there was like an absolutely hysterical reaction to Trump's statement from Britain, not only from Starmer and from all the media, but also from Nigel Farage, who is controlled opposition. His loyalty is with the City of London, and they all went like, oh, no, this is wrong. He's not a dictator. He's a duly, legitimately elected president of Ukraine. And okay, yes, so his term did expire, but he'll hold elections when it's appropriate, blah, blah, blah. But and then they started this whole narrative about how, the United Kingdom didn't have election between 1935 and 1945 because the war and all of this and all of this. That's all very nice, but it's irrelevant. Ukraine has a constitution, which is supreme law of the land of Ukraine, which says that the presidential term is for 5 years. Sorry, something went down the wrong tube. Right. So the presidential term is 5 years, not a day longer, and under no circumstances can elections be delayed or president's term in office be extended. So the Brits kind of went bonkers over that. And then on 24th February, Boris Johnson goes to Kiev again. And two things happen on that same day. Well, no, on that same day, Boris Johnson states that, Zelensky shouldn't reject this deal with Trump. The deal should be signed, and Zelensky should sign it because that will commit the United States in black on white, to supporting Ukraine. And also that same day, the Verkhovna Rada, the parliament of Ukraine, issues a resolution saying that, Volodymyr Zelensky is legitimately still the president. His term is extended, and so all is well here. And then the very next day, Zelensky comes out and say like, we'll do the deal with the Americans. We'll sign over those resources. And so today, we are 28th February. Zelensky is in the United States, in Washington, to sign this deal. Well, the deal leaked out, or maybe it was published. I don't know if it was supposed to be out or not. Apparently, it's a complete dog shit, excuse the expression. It's a completely worthless contract that's so vague, it's not even clear who the parties is. The provisions are impossible to interpret. It's like a contract that you haven't even seen in cartoons. It's nothing. So here you have the head of state in Ukraine and the head of state in the United States meeting to sign a deal that is probably completely meaningless. And its scope is such that it might be construed as a treaty, in which case it would have to be ratified by the Senate in the United States. But it probably won't be, almost certainly won't be. And then it also will not be presented to the Ukrainian parliament. So to me, it seems that Boris Johnson basically went there and he said to Zelensky, we got to keep the Americans in. You can't reject this deal. So say that you'll accept it and we'll like draft some dog shit for them to chew on. And we'll gain time. And then we're going to make some kind of an arrangement. All we need to do is keep the Americans in, because without the Americans, we're all finished and everything implodes.